Hello, friends, and welcome. Welcome to another episode where I review vintage fountain pens. In this episode, we will concentrate our attention on a beautiful classic piston filler from Germany from the 1950s. Guys, if you watch my channel, you probably know that the fountain pens made in Germany, piston fillers, from the 1950s with ink windows, preferably a gold nib, but not necessarily. They are my favorite fountain pens of all time. You must try the Germans from the 1950s, the steel nibs, but even better, the gold nibs that have a little flex to them, and they certainly give a lot of character to your handwriting. So, guys, I will analyze for you the main characteristics of a fountain pen made in Germany in the 1950s. So, first of all, let me look up the color. So, guys, this is a no-name fountain pen. It has no producer marks of whatsoever. The only clue about its origin, it stays in its imprints of the nib. But I will use this fountain pen to illustrate some of the characteristics of the 1950s fountain pen made in Germany, and I have some examples here and even a modern one, but we will talk about that later. So, in general, the fountain pen made in Germany in the 1950s, it is a black one. Yes, this is the primary color of the 1950s. Although I have this beautiful Shonaken, a celluloid model, in this gorgeous herringbone pattern, you must know that the market in Germany demanded some serious writing instruments, and the black was considered the color standard, of course, with gold trims. In this particular case, we can see we have a gold trim here, and I suspect that also the clip which is missing from this fountain pen was also made in the same gold finish or gold plated finish. Okay, guys. In general, the fountain pen of the 1950s made in Germany has a torpedo shape like this one, or a cigar shape. The edges are rounded. Not a particular condition, but in general, it has a screwed in cap and not a pressure fit cap. And you can see the generous ink window over here. In general, but not as a rule, this grip section ends in a concave form. In this particular case, we don't have the concave form. It is simply a line, so you don't have as many grip as you would have from a concave one. And now let's look, guys, at the nib. So I told you this is an important clue. We have iridium point, and we have a deer or a buck because it has some horns, just jumping in the cliffs. And I'm not so sure about this fountain, the name. Maybe it's Bock, maybe it's the other one, German, but definitely a German made steel nib, gold plated. And if I'm not mistaken, this is an East German manufacturer. Maybe you can hit me in the comments because I know you guys, you know exactly what this producer's name, what this producer's nib name is. On the back, we have a beautiful feed, and in general, the Germans from the 1950s are equipped with ebonite feeds, quite nice. And guys, we have a piston filler. Some of the 1950s models have a blind cap, so this cap unscrews and it reveals the turning knob, or these parts are one, and when you operate this, it operates also the turning knob. In this case, guys, we have a blind cap, And if we rotate on this rod, we can see the ending of the piston. In this case, I hope you can notice it needs some replacement because it's a cork made ending and not a plastic one. And interesting, guys, you can see that the piston itself is made out of metal. So this fountain pen, although it has no name, I suspect it was a high quality product from that period. Shame we don't have the producer's name. And after I presented you all the characteristics, let me choose a luxury fountain pen from that period. And in this case, we have the model, the Montblanc 244G. Wonderful discoloration of the logo made out of casein. This is one clue that we have in front of us, a Montblanc from the 1950s. And let's compare it with the other one. This has also a conical shape, a dome shape, and even the same method of attaching the clip. You can see with a ring, and in this particular case is missing. We have two rings instead of one. Two rings means it's a high qualitative product when it compares itself with one ring. And I don't have here, but the Meisterstück from Montblanc, so the luxury, the top flagship of Montblanc, had three gold rings. Okay, as I told you, we have the ending, and in the case of the Montblanc, we have the same blind cap. Okay, and the cap unscrews on the Montblanc, and it reveals also a generous ink window. It is slightly smaller than the other one. You can see the concave ending instead of the flat simple line ending. The open nib, of course, much more larger on the Montblanc model, and the ebonite feed, but on the Montblanc, it is a feed from the early 1950s, the so-called ski slope type feed. You can see it's quite narrow, and it highlights, in a way, the beautiful gold nib of this Montblanc. Okay, guys, let's leave the Montblanc aside because I have another producer, a German producer from the 1950s, and I have here the model Luxor. You can see the same torpedo shape. This time we have three gold rings, the cap on screws like on this model, and let me show you how a ending of the piston should look. This is in almost NOS shape, and it is fitted with a plastic ending of the piston. Let me open this blind cap, and we will see now if we have a metallic or a plastic. No, here we have a plastic one. So in comparison with the other models which had a metallic, a brass piston, this has a plastic piston. So this one should be more resistant in time. Of course, also ebonite feeds, different designs, but the same material. And guys, I have for you now a quite modern fountain pen, but also a German fountain pen from the 1980s or the 1990s. In this particular case, it is a Senator President from the 1990s, which, in my opinion, it gives a little, let's say, homage to the old models of the 1950s. Of course, there is a big controversy because this has almost the same dimensions as the Diplomat 149 from Montblanc, so it was a big controversy when it was launched. And this line here is present on the Meisterstück line from Montblanc. It means a high quality product. But interesting about this line is that we have here a blind cap, indeed a very large blind cap, but it is a blind cap like our no-name fountain pen. So interesting, guys. This unscrews the same as the model from the 1950s, and although it isn't visible, we have a multifaceted ink window here in comparison with this ink window from the other model. The feed, it is also ebonite. It is quite nice on the model from the 1990s, and you can see the slight concave ending of it. For these models, we have a steel nib in both cases, but you can see on the older model we have a gold plating, and on the newer model we have a gold plating, but we have also the original steel color, so in two-tone, a nib in two-tone. So guys, this was my short, let's say, presentation of the fountain pens of the 1950s from Germany. So how do you know you have a 1950s fountain pen from Germany? So these are the main characteristics. And very important, you must have an open nib. So although in the 1950s the Parker 51 sold in millions, which had a hooded nib, the main trend of the German market, at least at the beginning of the 1950s, was the trend with an open nib. So guys, this is the fountain pen, the no-name fountain pen. I will leave its dimensions on the screen. And after I leave the dimensions on the screen, I will try a writing sample, because this model has the ending, let's say, broken. It needs replacement, and I think it will be replaced by a plastic ending, because the cork resists, I believe, 10 years, and after that you will need to change it again. It's made out of wood, and the plastic is much more resistant. So guys, as a nice feature of those fountain pens, at least at the Pelican models, if you hold to the nib like this and you try to unscrew it from this part, you can remove it. But in this case, and let me see if I can show you. In this case, it's quite stuck, and I don't see the two little holes. Let me see if at the Mont Blanc, let me see if I can show you guys. No, it appears that we don't have on the Mont Blanc model, but I remember that surely on the Senator there is, yes. So you can see those two holes over there, and they are purposely built for a special tool that grabs it with the little hooks and retracts it. On the Pelican models, and yes, guys, I have a Pelican right over here, the Pelican M800. So you can see that on the Pelican, we don't have those little holes. So it's very easy on the Pelican to simply press it and look at it. It unscrews quite nice. So not all the German models from the 1950s have this trait. And I wanted to show you that trait because I have two possibilities. So when this doesn't work, doesn't draw the ink, I have the possibility of filling it from this side. So I simply remove the nib and the feed unit, and I enter the nib with a syringe, and I fill this reservoir over here. Of course, there is another possibility to simply dismantle this piston filler, so take it off and you can charge it through the hole here. This is another possibility, but I must admit that I don't know how to do that yet. I certainly hope that in 1 year I will have the minimum information to know how to repair a classic German fountain pen. But in this case, guys, I will just simply dip this nib in ink for the writing sample. So just let me put those back. Okay. And even the pelican. And now I am ready for the writing sample. And for the writing sample, guys, I think I will use ink which I don't often use because sincerely it is quite hard to clean. This is the only motive because you can't get wrong with a brilliant black, an elegant black. So I'm not so sure about the history of the ink, guys, but you must know from me that the first ink was either black or blue, but certainly it was black. And black was a popular color of ink. If you see, I'm sorry, I have to peel this off. If you see all the letters, you will see a tendency for them to be written with a black ink. But in time, because of the metals that were present in those inks, they develop a brownish patina. Okay, guys. So for the writing sample, I think that yes, I need to show them to you in a different angle. Let me see if this is correct. Yes, quite nice. So I will modify the angle. Now I will put this. Remember, guys, this is a deep. Okay, it fits. The cap fits, and I'm not so sure. I won't leave it. Just wanted you to know. So I will dip this beautiful ink, and I hope that the ebonite and the ink will hold enough quantity of ink for me to do my writing sample. But just in case, I will leave this open in case I will need another dip in the ink. So this is, guys, my no name. Yes, definitely needs a little bit of ink. A no name fountain pen. This is made in Germany, and judging based on its design features, I think it's from the 1950s or maybe early 1960s. I don't know for sure. So it's interesting, this steel nib, gold plated nib. Being a steel nib, I don't think it has some variation, and you can see no flex to it. Let me see now the pressure test. So here no pressure, and here a little bit of pressure, but no line variance. Judging by the way it writes, I think this is an M for medium, a medium nib. And I hope I won't get this wrong, but I believe it's a Bock nib, or if it's not a Bock nib, it's a East German nib. I will have to do my research about this deer that you can almost here. I'm sorry, guys. Let me take it off. Yes, it is a deer that jumps from cliff to cliff. Maybe not a deer, but a male deer. I'm sorry, a buck, I think it's called. I'm not so sure. So, no line variance. Let me see if I can do a nice signature with it. Yes. Let me now see if I can do a reverse right with it. Whoa. Reverse writing. Definitely a yes with a juicy thing. And if this is an F, I believe this an M. I believe this is an F for fine. Quite nice. I'm impressed about the simplicity of this fountain pen, and why not? Let me tell you about the quick brown fox that jumps over the lazy dog. So there you have it, guys. A wonderful example of the 1950s workhorse. This was the student version of the fountain pen. Although some luxury models were available, I believe this is a nice fountain pen from the 1950s, and I'm sure that it didn't cost an arm or a leg like the Mont Blancs from that period cost. Of course, this is a no-name model, but believe me, guys, it does a great job. It just needs that cork to be replaced with a plastic cork, and I think we will have a writing instrument that we will hold and use for at least another 50 years. I'm not so sure if this is celluloid or molded plastic, but judging by the way it fits with this ink reservoir, I should say it is a plastic model, maybe from the late 1950s. Of course, this model from the Mont Blanc, I know for sure, is a celluloid model. And of course, the newer generation of the Senator President, it is also a plastic. Okay, guys, this was my review of a wonderful fountain pen, a no-name fountain pen. I didn't pay much money for this. I think around 5 euros or 10 euros, 15 American dollars, top 18 American dollars. I don't know for sure, but this is a classic example, and I thought to myself that I should do a video where I present you the classic elements of design of a fountain pen made in Germany in the 1950s. I want you guys to thank you for your time, and I want to wish you to have a nice day wherever you are. Thank you guys for your time. I will see you again at the next episode. Till then, please support my activity by subscribing to my channel, share my videos with your friends that are passionate about fountain pens, and of course, guys, I will see you again at the next episode. Till then, please take care of yourself in this pandemic time. Bye bye, guys, and God bless.